Of all the things I call my own, there is nothing that I love so much as my dear little black and white cat Percy. The way that he greets me with a meow after a long day's work teaching at the school, and springs onto my lap when I sit down with a cup of tea to unwind during the evenings is something only someone who has had the privilege of owning such a companion will understand. Having not found my better half as yet, having a furry friend around can quite aptly keep you from feeling the loneliness that can sometimes come when there's no one else to talk to. And my pretty little Percy certainly did that. Which is why, when your little companion goes missing, it can quite send you into a fizz to find them. Such a happening occurred with my Percy in September, when I came home late, quite exhausted from teaching a rather eventful day at school. I can remember walking in the front door with my bag over my arm and calling out for Percy to greet me. He was usually perched on the front step of the staircase, waiting for me to rub his black and white head and feed him his favourite biscuits. But that afternoon he wasn't. And when I went into the living room to see if he was snuggled in my armchair, which occasionally he had been when I came home later than usual, he wasn't there either. I checked the kitchen, dining room, bedroom and even bathroom, but no hide nor hair of Percy could be seen. He was an indoor cat, and I never left the doors or windows open when I went to work, so there wasn't any inclination in my mind to check outside until I noticed the back door was ajar. I opened it fully and stepped into my small postage stamp sort of garden, beginning to feel quite worried as I looked around and still saw no sight of my Percy anywhere. I began to holler out for him over and over as I looked in the house again, hoping he would emerge from somewhere, but much to my dismay, still no Percy was to be seen. I was quite perplexed with what to do, and I began to panic at the thought of my lazy house cat out in the open, when I heard the ring of an all-familiar bite bell approaching outside. I knew then just what to do, and I hurried out of the front door in a flurry to see Officer Scott Thompson riding by with a sticky bun in one hand and the other hand steering himself down the street. I yelled after him as he flew past me, and he came to a screeching halt, his sticky bun flying out of his hand and onto the pavement. I ran up to him, and he looked at me in the most disapproving manner.
"Oh, did you have to holler at me like that, Miss Thomas?"
he asked, watching his bun roll away down the street.
"Oh, I'm trying to get home to enjoy these pilchards I've just bought. And to make matters worse, you made me drop my sticky bun."
"My apologies, officer, but you see I've lost my dear little Percy, and I thought perhaps you might be able to help, being a police officer and all."
"And by Percy, you mean your cat, don't you?"
"Yes. You see, he stays indoor mostly, But when I went out this morning, I'm afraid I left the back door open, and it seems he's wandered off somewhere."
I see. Well, I'm sure he'll come to you eventually. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm trying to get home.
"Oh, no, please, Officer Thompson. I need you to help me find him. He could be anywhere out there, and he's not used to being in the open. I just can't imagine I shall be able to sleep until I find him."
Why? He's only a cat. It's not like you have a missing child.
"But he is to me. He's all I have. Please, Officer Thompson, I truly don't know what I'd do if I didn't have him."
Get another one?
"Officer Thompson."
Oh, all right then. Okay. But I don't know where you'll start. Your furry friend could be anywhere.
"Well, I don't think he would have strayed too far away from home. He's terribly lazy and fat, you know."
Oh, that's good to know. Because if he wanted to, he could be halfway across the cliffs by now. But I don't see why he would. Now, shall we get on with it? I've got pilchards in my basket and I don't want them to spoil. Where do you want to look first?
"Well, we ought to check with the neighbours first, I suppose."
Okay then, we'll start with that.
And so, with Officer Scott finally persuaded to help, I knocked on the door of the Coles' house that was next to mine and waited patiently outside. Finally, after a few seconds of silence, the handle turned and William Cole appeared from behind the door.
"Oh, hello, Miss Thomas. Hello, Officer Thompson. Everything all right? Have I done something wrong?"
"No, dear. Why would you think that?"
"Well, you're sort of being accompanied by Officer Thompson, Miss Thomas."
"Oh, no, dear. No. You are not in trouble at all. I've lost my Percy and Officer Thompson's helping me to find him. I wondered if perhaps your parents would mind if we have a look around and see if he's climbed over the fence."
"Oh, I see. Well, my aunt and uncle are away for the night, and my brother's working late at the butcher's, but I'm sure they wouldn't mind. We're all quite fond of Percy, you know. When did you lose him?"
"I'm not sure. I left the back door open before I left for school this morning, so he could have been gone all day for all I know."
"Well, I've only been back home for a few hours, but I haven't seen him. Have a look by all means, though, please."
And so, heading inside and out into the Coles' back garden, I looked around and began calling for Percy once again. Their garden was significantly bigger than mine and had several large trees and rows of shrubbery, and Officer Thompson and I tried to see if we could see Percy anywhere among them.
Any joy, Miss Thomas? I haven't seen one bushy tail or heard one meow so far.
"Nor me, Officer Thompson," I said, looking up into a tree and trying to spot any sign of Percy. "It doesn't seem like he's around here anywhere." But just as I was about to finish the sentence, I spotted something up in the tree that was black and white. I couldn't quite make it out, but it seemed to be moving a little, and so I thought for certain it must have been Percy. "Oh, Officer Thompson!" I hollered loudly, causing both William and Scott to come over at a great pace. "I think I see him. Do you see that black and white thing up there, behind the limb?"
I don't see him.
"I do.
William said, pointing at the black and white thing in the tree.
And it's moving. It's got to be him. Shall I go and get him?"
"No, dear, he's awfully high."
"Then who will? We can't just leave him up there."
"You don't think you could try, do you?"
Me? Oh, I haven't climbed a tree in years. But if it means I get to enjoy my pilchards quicker, then fine."
And so, grasping the trunk of the almighty tree with both hands, he clumsily dragged himself up, inch by inch, up the trunk, and eventually began to grab onto branches and limbs as he endeavoured to reach where Percy was.
"Can you see him properly yet, Officer Thompson?"
"Yes. Can you see him, Officer Thompson?"
No.
Came back Scott's rather uncomfortable sounding voice.
The only thing I can see is a very large bee's nest.
"Oh, yes, I did quite forget to tell you there was one up there. They're perfectly harmless, though.
Oh, yes, I'm sure they are. Now, can you tell me if I'm close to where Percy is, please? It's hard to see past all these turning leaves.
He's just to your left, Officer Thompson, sitting on that branch.
What branch, Miss Thomas? This is a tree, you know. They have rather more than one.
He's right there, Officer Thompson.
Right where?
Right beside you, Officer Thompson, on the left.
Oh, yes, I see him. Wait, this is a black and white kite, not a black and white cat, and it was moving because it was blowing in the breeze.
Oh dear, really? You mean it's not Percy at all?
No, it's not, Miss Thomas. You made me climb a tree like an orangutan for a stuck kite.
Gosh, that's Lester's. Sorry, I forgot about that being up there.
Forget about the bee's nest. Forget about the kite. Do you do a lot of forgetting?
I'm sorry, sir. I didn't think about the fact it could be the kite. It got stuck up there one time and we just never did get it down.
That means my dear Percy is still out there somewhere.
Yes, and I'm still up here, and the bees don't seem too pleased about that either.
Would you like me to get a ladder for you to help you down, sir? We've got one in the shed.
A ladder?
Officer Thompson shouted with disbelief.
Boy, you mean to tell me you had a ladder in your shed all this time, and you made me climb this tree? Breathe in. Breathe out. Just get it.
William sped off to the little brown shed at the bottom of the garden and raced back with a great lumbering ladder in his arms. He propped it up against the tree and held the bottom as a very disgruntled and displeased Officer Thompson climbed down. Realising that Percy was not in the Coles garden, I bid goodbye to William and we both stepped back into the street once again, and Officer Thompson looked at me rather unimpressed.
Miss Thomas,
He said flatly.
as much as you want to find your cat, I'm not going to climb every tree in this line of houses to find him. Who's to say he hasn't slipped out into the street, or gone into town, or taken a boat to France? He could be anywhere, and the fact is we don't have a clue where.
I know, Officer Thompson, but I just can't do nothing while my precious Percy wanders the streets like a stray.
Well, make some posters. That's what we do when we're looking for someone in the police department. It's the quickest way to make everyone aware he's missing and get people to start looking for him.
Looking for who?
A familiar voice said from behind us, interrupting our conversation.
Is someone missing?
Yes, Jack, I said. My cat Percy is, and we don't know where he is.
Is he black and white?
Yes.
And does he happen to have a blue collar as well?
Yes, he does. How do you know?
Well, there's a cat like that in your bike basket over there, Officer Thompson. And he's got what looks like a fish in his mouth.
What? My pilchards?
I looked to see what Jack was pointing at, and much to my surprise, Percy was indeed in Officer Thompson's bike basket, feasting on the pilchards he'd been looking forward to. He ran up to him with a very angry look on his face, and I quickly went and pulled him out. Officer Thompson looked in his basket and then looked at Percy in my arms with a scowl.
Your blasted cats pilfered my pilchards.
Cats do like fish, you know, Officer Thompson.
Yes, and so do I.
Oh dear, I'm sorry, Officer Thompson, but your pilchards have helped us to find Percy. Isn't that wonderful?
Yes, wonderful.
He replied sarcastically, getting on his bike and kicking back the stand.
Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to go and see if I can get some more from the shop before it closes.
Do you want me to get them for you? It is my fault that they're eaten after all.
No, Miss Thomas. You'll do me a favour by keeping that cat clear of me and my fish.
Well, soon I was finally back home with a cup of tea and my feet up, and Percy once again snuggled on my lap. I couldn't help but think of the previous events of the evening and how rather amusing it was to find my Percy wolfing down a whole parcel of pilchards. But perhaps more than that was to see the look on Officer Scott Thompson's face when he did.
In this episode of Port Galia, we saw Miss Donna Thomas return home from work to discover that her beloved cat Percy had gone missing. Desperate to find him, she enlisted the help of Officer Thompson, and although it took some time and effort, eventually her precious pet was found, even if it did cost Officer Thompson his pilchards. We see a similar story in the book of Luke, where Jesus told a parable about a lost sheep. It seemed that this sheep had strayed from its owner, much like Percy had in our story. And much like Miss Thomas, his owner went looking for him, and stopped at nothing until he was found. Why did Jesus tell this story, you ask? Well, he told it to explain that like the owner of the lost sheep would not stop until he found him, so too will God look for his children if they ever go astray. So remember, if you ever find yourself far away from God, and you feel lost, he is just around the corner, looking for you to come to him and welcome you with open arms.